Now, if my colleagues will indulge me, I would like to go back to the Deputy Superintendent, who would like to follow up on a previous conversation.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the board, I'd like Danny Graves to come up as the Executive Director working with Alpine to give the board a deeper explanation and a response to the comments that were made earlier about what's going on at Alpine.
Thank you, Dr. Stanford. And actually, I'm going to call on a team to help me. President Baker, members of the board, just to make you aware, we have been working with the principal over at Alpine concerning the issue of technology and some of the space issues, and we've been working with Mr. Trevino's office and Ms. Van Dyke about really some of the space challenges that we're having over there. So I'm actually going to ask, I don't know if I see Michelle here, but I'm going to ask Alex to come and just speak to some of the space challenges that we have and what we're thinking about doing. Oh, Michelle is here. Okay, great. And just kind of fill the board in on what we've been talking about and what we've been working on over there. So.
Sure. Thank you. President Baker, members of the board. So when Director Van Dyke's team set out early on this mission to put these standing computer labs in our elementary school buildings, with the information we had at that time, it was our understanding that we'd be able to take a standard classroom in that building and convert it into a standing computer lab. It's, we were fortunate on one hand and unfortunate on the other that we've had such strong enrollment in that north side feeder pattern. And so our numbers are very strong at that school. We also have a hearing impaired program there that takes up a nice amount of space within that building that's very important and key to that particular school. So while it was our hope to be able to put a standing lab into a computer classroom, we simply don't have the capacity within that building right now based on the enrollment to be able to do that. We did meet with the school to look at other alternatives within that building to give them that option of a standing, and by standing we mean a wired computer lab. We looked at a storage room that's adjacent to the office area. We also met with the staff in their open library and talked about whether there was the potential to use that space for a standing computer lab. The PTA president talked to you very clearly about the challenges in that space with it being an open library. It's a pretty neat space in terms of collaboration. Not so good when you're trying to have privacy and to be able to focus on a test. We looked at all those options, and based on the objectives we were trying to achieve, we did make the determination that we did not find any feasible way at this time to put a standing lab in. So at that point, Director Van Dyke's team looked at our wireless options with Chromebook carts, and she can certainly elaborate a little more on that.
Sure, thanks, Alex. Thank you, Alex, and to the board. Yeah, exactly what Alex said. The library is kind of a cut through for the building, so there's a lot of traffic through there, so it is very hard to concentrate even when they're trying to collaborate in there now. So again, until there's space available to have a room for a computer lab, we are, obviously you generously approved the Chromebooks from the last meeting, but we had budgeted for a complete lab for that school when we asked the board and the finance committee to approve the elementary school labs. So there is funding available to purchase an additional Chromebook cart for them. What it won't do is give them the space, but it will allow them to take the Chromebooks into an individual room and test the children together. They do have computers in the school, in their classrooms. I think they have approximately, I'm just off the top of my head, about 120 computers in the school throughout the school, but for a testing facility, you need to have 25 to 30 stations together. So having the Chromebooks, they're great for testing, absolutely. Having the ability to use those room by room is going to provide them at least an avenue that they'll be able to test the children inside a classroom as opposed to being in an atmosphere where there's a lot of traffic running through the school. So obviously not ideal. We would like to have given them a Chromebook cart and a full standing lab, but at this time there's no space available, so we'll be providing them with 2 Chromebook carts. So that will give them 60 additional stations.
Thank you. Are there questions from board members or comments? Mr. Cole?
Thank you, Mr. President. And thank you so much for offering some deeper clarification. Does this space population issue put us at any malcompliance risk, if you will, particularly around testing time? Understanding that we're supposed to have space that's specifically delegated for students to be able to take their tests undisturbed. So when you have people walking in and out of a room, does that put us at any compliance issue with ODE?
So I'm going to say not that I'm aware of. I'll turn to Dr. Klein to get the real answer on that. I think one of the challenges will be scheduling. That is something that they're going to have to figure out with the carts. But in terms of compliance, I'll defer to Dr. Klein on that.
Thank you, Mr. Graves. Board President Baker, to Board Member Cole's question, yes, I would say that in the optimal situation, you always want a room in which there's non-disturbance for testing. But I can tell you that when we do formative assessments like our NWA map, it is an acceptable practice, and many districts do it, where students are in their stations and maybe a guided reading group is going on with a teacher, and the student 2 or 3 are actually at their computer within their classroom. It depends on the teacher's organization, but for statewide assessments that are done all at the same time, a closed-in area, whether it's a classroom or a computer lab, would be the ideal situation. I about had a heart attack when I was listening to the speaker talk about people going in and out of a testing area, because that is not appropriate nor legal. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Cole, follow-up?
We'll go back to this, but there are other, because of the population, I mean, this building is incredibly overpopulated. There's also been issue with traffic and concern among parents and community residents about safety of our children transporting to and from school. I know I've reached out to you personally in the past about this matter. How are we dealing with that situation in terms of traffic flow? Is there any opportunity to entertain a conversation with our friends in the city to see if we can put some necessary resources there to help regulate traffic?
President Baker, to Board Member Cole. So, ultimately, as we look at this facility master plan, we think that the Alpine site is going to be incredibly valuable to us. We're very fortunate. It's a large piece of land. So I'm optimistic about the site's future. But in the short term, obviously, we do need to reach out to every opportunity we have, including the city. So I will be in touch with the principal and find out precisely what her concerns are there. And if the city can be an assistance to us in terms of traffic calming or any other measure that we can help with, we're happy to do so.
Thank you. Board Member Gibbs is next, and then Board Member Hudson.
So, since we reopened it, I thought this was a closed issue, but since we reopened it, it's December, and they've had 550 kids, I'm sure, for the entire year. So I'm concerned that we're just now getting to it, number one. Number two, we have other buildings with modulars. So with the amount of space that Alpine has, why have we not included a modular solution to alleviate some of the building capacity like we've done in other sites, so that there would be a classroom freed up? Because even if we voted them in the next facility master plan, they are at least 2 to 3 years out of having a brand new building. So and even the boundaries would take another year. So what is our modular protocol as to when and where we deploy them, and how soon could they have that as an option, if it is an option?
President Baker, to Board Member Gibbs. I don't know that I can tell you that there's a protocol for modulars. I can tell you kind of our best practice based off of our recent experience. Modulars are, if I may, just let me state that modulars are, in name, not what they sound like. They're far less than portable. And as far as the way the city looks at them from a permitting process, it is just as involved and just as complicated as building a full-fledged and permanent building. Our experience would tell us that if it was our intention to place modulars at the Alpine site or any other site to help with capacity issues, that we should be initiating that discussion come January 1. It is a long process, both in terms of the procurement side, permitting side, installation side, and that's assuming that we have perfect access to utilities, We don't run into any regulatory issues in terms of being able to cite those on our sites. Some recent changes to the regulations also require us to provide things such as fire truck access. So where we have sites such as Alpine right now where the modulars are behind the building, right now, if we were to do a new modular installation, the city would insist that we provide a paved driveway or some other drivable surface to get to them. And issues like that greatly increase the cost of doing an installation. So that's not to say that we can't do it, given a budget to do so, but that is unfortunately the reality at this time.
So, one more question, and thank you, but we heard from the Beechcroft feeder pattern earlier this year, and we had the assurance that it was being worked on then. And I know the team went and we looked. However, we still have at least 6 months of testing that the students will need to undergo. And so what I haven't heard, and the team I haven't heard from, is the enrollment and what will we do differently in terms of the incoming kindergarten classes and the amount of space we allot for next year. So how will our enrollment change, or what are we doing to help alleviate? And this entire pattern has this challenge. And my challenge is that we can have one person in another feeder pattern. When we change we'll open a whole new building for them. But this feeder pattern has been back time and time again. And I mean, just saying we're working on it is not alleviating the problem. How are we going to fix it for these thousands of students?
President Baker, to Board Member Gibbs's question with regard to enrollment, I can tell you that our academic services teams evaluates this, and we will be looking at this to determine how many teachers and what the capacity of that building is for next year, and how we can appropriately fix that for the upcoming school year. It would not change during this current school year, but it would change for the future school year. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
So are you saying nothing changes for these students during this year?
Am I saying that we're adding a teacher or something when we don't have a classroom? No, we are not.
I'm talking about space. I'm not talking about personnel. Are you saying we can't change anything in terms of space for these students for the entire year?
That would be Mr. Trevino, not a Michelle Klein question. Sorry.
Let me answer the question. I'm gonna just answer. Don't worry about that. Something has to change for these students. It's unacceptable and we're non-compliant. So something has to change. So I'm just going to yield. Don't even worry about answering. When we come back in January, I'm going to look forward and be very excited about what's going to change for these students, because nothing is not an option.
Thank you, Ms. Gibbs. Board Member Hudson, I believe you had a question or comment.
Thank you, President Baker. I guess I would the same. I'm just wondering, like, why it's so crowded. If it is so crowded, what's the plan to address it? But also, I mean, we focused a lot on testing with the Chromebooks. What about teaching? And I think, when will how soon can those Chromebooks get there? And not only for testing, but for teaching?
President Baker, to your question, Board Member Hudson, we currently are receiving the Chromebooks that we have, that we had actually, I think we had about 900 or so come in the last week. So those will begin deployment over the holiday break, once the carts are here, over the holiday break or shortly after the holiday break. So the first 30 will go out. The second 30 we will order for them specifically because, like I said, we budgeted for a standing lab for that school. So that will will take probably 2 to 3 weeks to get an additional cartload full of them. So I assume by the time they get back or shortly after they get back, they will have the availability to use those. And I think an important thing while we're working on the space issue, an important thing to remember with the Chromebooks is even for the middle of the year and end of the year and beginning of the year testing, where they can work within their classrooms, the Chromebooks are going to be a huge benefit to that as well. And I'll get to the teaching piece, but the Chromebooks will be a great benefit to that as well because they're completely wireless. So they'll be able to take 6, they're not going to be confined to the cart. They can actually take 6 or so into each room and be able to do the testing that way. As far as teaching, the teachers are really looking forward to having the Chromebooks for that very reason. The difference that you have in a Chromebook and a standing lab is the Chromebooks are great for web browsing, for web applications, for collaboration. I mean, there's so much you can do with those Google Classroom, Google for Education. They're wonderful. However, there are some applications that we do use here in the district that would require to be installed or pushed to a machine, and that's just not what the functionality of that. I think I've talked to the board several times about that. You know, the Chromebook isn't the end all, but sure opens a whole lot of collaborative tools for students. So I think as we look at teaching in different ways with digital textbooks, the Chromebooks will be huge, but we still do need those stationary computers. And they are available in the classrooms, just not in the classrooms will remain with the 3 to 4 computers per classroom as they've had. A lot of schools have smartboard technology. I'm not sure how many they have at Alpine, but that teaching and learning will continue as it has. They just won't be able to go into a lab with standing computers. Does that answer your question?
It does. Just to follow up, President Baker, I might, and thank you, that does answer the question. So I'll also look forward to hearing where we are. It sounds like, and I would just suggest that the administration consider possibly doing a meeting with parents, a community meeting over at Alpine, once some of the plans are in place to get feedback and inform the parents and folks, the caretakers for the students of what the district is going to do to address these technology issues as well as space issues.
Thank you, Board Member Hudson, and we certainly appreciate that advice, and we will act upon that advice. I'll be meeting with the principal probably as soon as tomorrow to have this discussion, and meeting with the parent and the parent groups to talk about the issues at hand.
Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Peretti?
I just want to, when I heard that there's a possibility that, students taking these mandated tests that they have to take and that they're being interrupted, that could be not legal at all, highly worries me. And if we do have to have a module or whatever it takes, I will be looking forward to hearing in January as well what the solution is. And I'm sure the internal auditor will be as well.
Any other questions or comments, Deputy Superintendent? Ms. Gibbs?
And if you would please include the restoration of the library services and the impact of the library, the loss of time for the students, and if you could bring that back as well, that'll be great. And as well as what other extracurricular activities that are impacted by that the entire plan addresses, making that entire student body whole and fully functional as an elementary team with all of their programming and all of their enrichment activities. Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I just want to say real quickly that, as we mentioned earlier during the board meeting, that Mr. Oldham and Mr. Trevino and the rest of the team have been working on this issue, and as Ms. Hudson had requested that the administration conduct a follow-up and report back to the board, it was fully our intent to do that follow-up, to address many of the sort of questions and inquiries that have been presented to the team, and then come back to the board as soon as we possibly can with a follow-up report of how we're addressing many of these concerns. But we wanted to definitely reiterate to the board that we will make sure that the school is compliant for the testing process, and that we are meeting the state requirements and regulations for the testing process, so that our students will have a smooth testing experience, during the testing that they have to take for the state test. And so, just wanted to reiterate that for the board, and to assure you that we are looking into it, have been looking into it, and that we will continue to work on it to address this very complex and very difficult situation for our students.
Thank you, Deputy Superintendent. Thank you, Director Van Dyke, Director Trevino, Dr. Klein, and Mr. Graves. Thank you very much. All right. Returning now to the agenda. Madam Internal Auditor, have you anything to offer this evening?
Thank you, President Baker. I don't have anything at this point in time.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, let's move on then to the consent agenda, and the chair will entertain a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there discussion from board members on the consent agenda? Mr. Peretti.
I just want to say thank you for the donations from the Zangmeister Center and cash donation from Friends of Indianola K8 PTO. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from Ms. Hudson?
Yes, I was wondering if, Deputy Superintendent, if you could tell us a little bit about the Diplomas Now program at 9.2 on our agenda.
Mr. President, Ms. Hudson, I'd like to call on Chief Academic Officer Alicia Gillison and Executive Director Sandy Donald to tell us a little bit more about the Diplomas Now program.
Good evening, President Baker, Board Member Hudson, members of the board. It is my pleasure to have this opportunity to introduce Sandy Donald and allow her and I believe invite Ernesto Martinez up to the podium to talk about the program Diplomas Now.
Good evening, President Baker, Board Member Hudson. When we speak of Diplomas Now, the best way for me to describe it is providing the right intervention to the right student at the right time. There are sort of 3 areas of the Diplomas Now program, and one of those areas is communities in school, which provide those wraparound services that many of our neediest students need, such as food, making connections for food, clothing, and/or housing. One of the other areas is City Year, who are those near peer mentors that greet our students in the morning. They rotate with them throughout the day to provide support in class, and they also offer after-school tutoring. And then one of the other components is the talent development component, where they work with our teachers in classrooms. And again, they're looking at those students, ensuring that our boys and girls that are on track remain on track, and those that are having difficulties, we help to get them back on track. So they're working with them, they're looking at what we call the ABCs, the academics, the behavior, and the course, the attendance, the behavior, and the course performance. So really wrapping their arms around this student, providing whatever resources and support that they can to ensure that our boys and girls are moving toward matriculation and graduation. And if there's anything that Ernesto would like to add, certainly he could feel free to do so. Unless we have any more questions.
Any other questions or comments on this particular piece of legislation? Thank you very much. Oh, Mr. Cole.
Thank you for putting this in front of us once again. I know the success of this program, particularly in schools like South High School, where we've seen tremendous improvement in those areas. I remember years ago what the graduation rate was at South High School, the new leadership that we have in that building in terms of the principal there. I just thank you for this, and I look forward to seeing how we expand it throughout the district.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions from board members on the consent agenda? Yes, Board Member Hudson?
I'm also wondering if Deputy Superintendent could tell a little bit about the collaboration and that's part of 10.2 with the Civil Service Commission.
Mr. President, Ms. Hudson, thank you very much for allowing us the opportunity to talk a little bit more about that piece of legislation as well. I'm looking to see if Director McGrath is here. Yes. So I'd like to call on her to talk a little bit more about that and how we're going to continue to collaborate and partner with the city to provide this very important state-mandated service for our staff members.
Board President Baker, board members, this is an agreement that we've had with the Civil Service Commission for about 40 years that we are updating completely. And the commission is going to be providing for us testing and classification services. Services that currently we do some ourselves, but because of our need, they're going to be supplementing our current workforce. And so we're going to be working together to update our classification plan for the district and update some of our testing.
Very good.
And if I
Yes.
may, Mr. President, Ms. Hudson, this is very critical work that has to continue while we continue to assess the needs of the Human Resources Department and the staffing needs that we have in order to continue the transformation of that department.
Right. This is a way for us to maintain the status quo while we're looking at the long-term status of this agreement with the commission. So this is going to more or less keep things in place while we're still doing the churning of the transformation process to see what that future picture is going to look like.
Okay. Very good.
Thank you. Thank you, Director McGrath. Any other questions from board members on the consent agenda? Mr. Treasurer, would you like to call the roll?
Ms. Gibbs?
Yes.
Ms. Hudson?
Yes, except I abstain from 11.4.
Mr. Peretti?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
Vice President Stewart?
Yes.
President Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
That motion carried.
Thank you very much. Now we'll move on to Board President report. As I did last year, I'd just like to share a few comments talking about some of our successes. And if you'll bear with me, I'll do this as quickly as I can. As another year comes to an end, I would like to take this opportunity to reflect on the board's activities, and it seems appropriate to summarize some board activities during the past 2 years, as that is the period of time this current board has worked together. I have had the privilege of serving as board president during this time, and I've had the honor of having Brian Stewart serve as vice president. Working as a team, this Board of Education has made great strides during the past 2 years. When I was elected as president, I proposed that the board create 2 new standing committees, one academic and the other financial. I also called for the board to begin the process of revising its policies and changing its governance framework. I also called for a citywide listening tour that would allow for the board to re-engage with the community. The board has since launched the Innovation and Reform Committee and the Finance and Appropriations Committee. Innovation and Reform, under Ms. Gibbs' leadership, has discussed new programs and ways to advance student achievement. Finance and Appropriations, under Ms. Hudson's leadership, work with staff to revise the annual budgeting process, including adding additional transparency to the process. We created the Policy Review Committee under Mr. Peretti's leadership, which advised the board on possible revisions to our policies and led the board through months of community review before we adopted a completely new set of policies and repealed policy governance. The Moving Forward Dreaming Big 2020 listening tour under Mr. Cole's leadership wrapped up after having engaged more than 500 individuals through focus groups and community forums. Last year, we made our new interim superintendent our permanent superintendent, and this year the board managed the search under Board Member Reyes' leadership, managed a search that brought an incredibly capable financial leader to the district as our new treasurer CFO. The board also worked to strengthen and expand the Office of Internal Audit. The Auditor of State provided the district with a clear audit report recognizing district efforts to improve its internal controls. The board delivered a balanced and detailed budget that included an increased level of public participation. We are prepared to appoint a committee to review our community inclusion policy, which includes our commitment to local and economically disadvantaged enterprises, or LEDEs. The committee will devise strategies and tactics that will better allow us to achieve our aspirational goal of including 20% LEDE vendors in contracting. The board will also appoint, as you heard earlier this evening, a committee of our neighborhood school development partnership to review and revise our facilities master plan. This comprehensive review will include a discussion of facilities that may need to be replaced, renovated, or sold. The committee will also analyze current and future population growth trends. The board has supported numerous community collaborations during the past 2 years. A number of schools in the packed area held their first white coat ceremonies in what promises to be a long and important relationship among the OSU Medical Center, Columbus City Schools, and the families of the Near East Side. The board also supported the district's efforts to help open the Marion Franklin Opportunity Center, assisting students, families, and neighbors with GED and career tech efforts. Our career centers are working with local employers to ensure that our students have vital skills for their next course of study or work. The board has also supported mentoring and intervention opportunities, including partnerships with City Year and I Know I Can, and for adding mentoring coordinators to district staff. Even local media has recognized our successes. The Columbus Dispatch wrote the following on April 9th, 2015. Step by step, the Columbus Board of Education and Superintendent Dan Good are moving the school district beyond scandal and mismanagement and laying the foundation for a better future in their op-ed school board making progress. And the Columbus Board of Education continues to focus on student achievement. Columbus City Schools is a billion-dollar political subdivision governed by the 7 elected officials sitting before you. The district is a vital public partner in the greater Columbus community and serves more than 50,000 students and their families. The Board of Education, the superintendent, the treasurer, and the internal auditor are working well together in pursuit of our mission. Each student is highly educated, prepared for leadership and service, and empowered for success as a citizen in a global community. We have made great strides and have the district on the right track for continued success. Of course, none of this is possible without the hard work of teachers, administrators, and every single district employee. Parents, guardians, and community partners are also critically important to our success. I would like to take this opportunity to thank every single member of our team. I'm grateful, we are all grateful, and thank you for your contributions. If you are an employee of the district, please stand up so we can recognize you. Thank you very much. As a small token of our gratitude, we have prepared poinsettias for the treasurer and the internal auditor. And someone will present those to you. The superintendent took his on the airplane to Washington, D.C., so it's not here. I would like to share briefly. I'm going to put this up. Spirit of Success highlights for 2015. So these are just a few things that have happened just this year. We increased pre-K access, 1,748 total students, and added more state grant funding, $1.5 million. Improved third grade reading and increased third to fourth grade matriculation rate to 92%. That's for the 2014-15 class. Increased enrollment in College Credit Plus and helped seniors earn more than $42 million in scholarships and grants. Opened the district's first Columbus Gifted Academy and launched Health Sciences Academies on the east side. Improved from an F to a B on state report card for career education. Enrolled 14,000 students through the Central Enrollment One-Stop Shop. Decreased number of expulsions and decreased suspensions for disruptive behaviors. Invested in full wireless internet coverage and increased computer access for all school buildings. Added 512 new certificated hires with 76 teachers hired specifically for our priority schools. Revised district policies, administrative guidelines, and developed a comprehensive, transparent budget process, as I mentioned earlier. Added attendance and student information specialists in school buildings to proactively assist secretaries. Received commendations from the Ohio Department of Education and the Ohio Auditor of State on improved data collection, and deepened relationships with key partners including Columbus Metropolitan Library, COSI, and Children's Hospital. Just a few things I wanted to share. Mr. Vice President, would you like to share any words regarding last year's activities?
You know, it is just certainly been a lot of work, a lot of effort of individuals who have all participated and rallied around trying to improve the quality of education for our students. I just want to certainly offer my congratulations to each and every one of you who where we've seen some measured success. I also want to just thank you for your efforts and your dedication to the students here in Columbus City Schools. And board members, I just want to also thank you for all of your diligent and hard work. There has been tremendous strides that have been made by this board, and each one of you have played an integral role as a part of this. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, and I would like to add my thanks and gratitude to each of you. It's been a great year. It's been a great 2 years serving together with this board as it is currently constructed, and we have worked with the administration and all of our employees to accomplish great things, and I look forward to much more of that in the future. Thank you very much. What I'd like to do now is move on to committee reports. So I will ask each board member if there's anything they'd like to share from their committee or committees, and if you would, please do, and if not, just let me know that. So I will start to my left with Board Member Hudson. Board Member Hudson?
Thank you, President Baker. Have first a committee report for audit and accountability. We, at our last meeting on December 3rd, we had an action-packed meeting. First thing, per the board's request, the audit committee reviewed the audit report from the Auditor of State on the SES audit. We also heard an update from our General Counsel, Mr. Braverman. The committee found that there should be no additional action taken by the district, and I think the General Counsel has advised that authorized the Auditor of State to authorize the Attorney General to bring suit against the wrongdoers who were involved with that audit, or with the misdeeds in that audit. Continuing on, we heard we discussed the server failure and heard an IT update from Michelle Van Dyke, along with update on the business continuity plan from Steve McElroy. I think with that, a couple things. We heard a very detailed report that IT and under Ms. Van Dyke is developing a technology plan, a comprehensive technology plan for the district for the next 5 years, and they will be hiring a vendor that will that will come in front of us this soon after the first of the year. But they're also updating our cybersecurity plan, and we'll be working on a vulnerability testing that was recommended in the prior Schneider Downs IT audit. Likewise, per the board's approval, the Schneider Downs audit on IT equipment, et cetera, will go forward in the coming months, and so that will, I think, dovetail nicely with the analysis that IT is doing as well. The wireless installation is scheduled to be done by June with voice quality internet, with a plan then for a new telephone system. We also heard an update on the WCBE audit from Dan Michalko, and that this year the audit is on time and delivered with a bow on top of it. We thank Mr. McCammon and the Treasurer's staff for their assistance with that as well. And we also heard a report from the Internal Auditor on the office's efforts to conduct trainings and informational sessions with management staff, so there's better understanding of what internal audit works on. Over this past year, the ANA has met 10 times, almost monthly. We did take July off, and we combined November and December. But we've, certainly we've updated the audit plan, which came to the board. The board, working with the board, reorganized that Office of Internal Audit, and there's been a great deal of additional collaboration with management. And additionally, the committee's reviewed key reports on HR, central enrollment, grade recording, transportation, and budgeting. I think all with stellar efforts from management and great collaboration with the Office of Internal Audit. So I think all in all a very successful year for 15, and would look forward to even better successes in 16. if I may, turn to Finance and Appropriations. Finance and Appropriations, we were just talking about this with the treasurer today. We stood up just about a year ago this time, and we have covered a lot of ground as well. We have also met monthly, but in addition to working with the treasurer, developed a monthly management discussion and analysis report that we got some great feedback from our outside members, who also encouraged really helpful revisions to the financials. I think the biggest effort for FAC this year, and will continue to be, is certainly the budget process, where we really guided a unprecedented detailed budget process, held almost 40 hours of public meetings, and along with a number of deep dives on key operational spend areas. We look forward to, and as well as grant funding. We look forward to continuing that effort in the coming school year. I see we collectively, I think the Finance Committee is teed up to really partner with the Budget Director and the Treasurer for additional efforts on behalf of the district. Be happy to take any questions.
Any questions for Board Member Hudson relative to her committee reports? All right. Thank you, Ms. Hudson, for your hard work and diligence this year. It has paid off. Board Member Reyes, is there anything you would like to share?
Yes, President Baker, as co-chair with Vice President Stewart, we chair the local economically disadvantaged enterprise committee. We met and discussed, we met with our administrative staff and talked about the outreach services, the ad hoc committee strategies and various methods that outreach services and purchasing will attempt to increase LEDE participation district-wide, and the ideas being discussed in the business and operations, as well as the forming of the internal business and operations LEDE subcommittee. The internal business and operations LEDE subcommittee is charged to look at ways to increase participation through strategic planning, unbundling, vendor meetings, advertising, and other mechanisms that work to increase participation. There was discussion regarding some of the barriers that could be preventing LEDEs from participating. We are also looking at having stronger efforts to attract both Latino and Somali business community. The members were provided copies on the outreach services in-reach strategies and asked for feedback on those strategies. Purchasing did share that the recent increase of the 20% from the previous 10% on the matrix of the RFPs and RFQs. So now companies are required to show additional either current LEDE or subcontracting for LEDE at a 20% level. We also discussed the changes to the legislation that now reflect the LED goals and steps taken to reach those goals. Purchasing also shared with the committee the template regarding the collective RFPs that will be issued soon. The committee discussed hosting a large networking session for those RFP contracts, so we are asking the community to look out for those. These are contracts that are long-standing contracts, so not the one timer. So it's be our 3, our 4, or 6-year contracts. So we are looking to do a big event to make sure that everybody has that opportunity to come in and apply and understand the new requirements that the organization has put forth. I'm sorry, I'm hoping this. We discussed how to relay the message to the small business community by implementing various media-related strategies and how to get communications involved to craft the appropriate message. So we're asking people to stay tuned. These contracts are coming up soon. So that's my report.
Thank you, Board Member Reyes. Thank you very much. Mr. Vice President, she just stole your thunder on the LEDE Policy Review Committee. Is there anything else you'd like to share from a committee standpoint?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Board Member Gibbs?
Yes, thank you. So I'm going to share two updates. First, I'm going to talk about the Ohio School Board Association, OSBA. We just finished our Capitol Conference. We definitely like to thank the treasurer, our budget director, and board member Hudson for presenting at the OSBA conference. We had both a presentation and students in our Student Achievement Fair. And so the students were from Berwick, K-8, and I believe, was it Briggs High School? Briggs High School. and Briggs High School were both represented in our Student Achievement Fair for OSBA. We start again in January, but over 9,000 people attended our the state conference. It is the second largest association conference in the country. So Ohio School Board Association continues to be the industry leader in that area. If you may remember, a few months ago, we also had a very spirited conversation with our athletic coaches around challenges with the Ohio High School Association's changes to our league assignments. The Ohio School Board Association has initiated an advisory council that will work with OSBA Board of Trustee members and the Ohio High School Athletics Association. And I'm very happy to announce that I was selected to serve on behalf of OSBA on that committee. And so look forward to really getting a chance to work with Ohio High School Association to make sure they understand the needs and challenges of the large urban district athletic programs, and that they remain fair and equitable in their decisions and choices as it pertains to our student athletes. Any questions on OSBA? No? Well, now innovation and reform. I guess you could turn the lights down a bit here. As you know, the mission of Columbus City Schools is that each student is highly educated, prepared for leadership and service, and empowered for success as a citizen in a global community. And to that end, our Innovation and Reform Committee was formed to make sure our students have the best opportunity to achieve that mission. Our committee consists of members, but the leadership consists of myself, Board Member Cole, our President, Gary Baker, who is ex officio on all committees, Dr. Dan Good as the superintendent, and Dr. John Stanford serve as the lead representatives on this community, on this committee, as well as about 25 representatives of staff, community, social service agencies, people who touch and impact children and families. The mission of our committee, again, is to serve as the strategic committee to collect, analyze, and recommend board policies that embrace innovative practices. We have to pull together emerging trends, best practices from the data we gather from professional development, state and national conferences, board seminars, and educational workshops to determine the feasibility of implementation in the Columbus City School District. We also seek to leverage and extend the benefits and resources and the support from our member agencies. We are a member of the Ohio School Board Association, the Council of Great City Schools, the Council of Urban Boards of Education, as well as the different associations that our administrators are a part of, whether that is the National Business Financial Officers, Early Childhood Education Administrators, whatever those resources are, this committee is there to leverage those resources. We're also charged to stay abreast of current and emerging academic reform movements, to recommend implementation of the most relevant policies to improve leadership, governance, academic progress, and operational processes in a large urban district. We are charged to have an ongoing two-way dialogue between the board and innovative educational thought leaders, and establish an ongoing system to receive, review, and recommend new plans of actions that help students succeed. From January to June, we reviewed the Brookhaven mixed use proposal, the relocation of Global Academy, recommendations on the Gifted Academy proposal, specifically the diversity and inclusion plans, and drug testing for student athletes. Though they were very spirited conversations, very in-depth, and at the conclusion of those, we made those recommendations known to the board and believe we have moved forward and will continue to monitor the progress of all of those projects. From July to December, we have spent a lot of time on the program fidelity in our theme-based schools. And that means if you are a STEM school, how much STEM is going on. If you are an art school, how much art instruction is going on. Our team, in collaboration with our academic services team, with the superintendent, have done an amazing job looking at all of our theme-based schools and looking to see what we want to keep, maybe what we need to sunset, and what is coming online that we can bring into the district. We spent a good time looking at our career and technical programs as well. Not just what do we have, but what will students need to be competitive in the 21st century environment? What are the new programs that are coming online that are in other districts that we would like to bring on board? And how do we best market what we currently have? Does our community know what we're doing? So we've done that with our career and technical programs. We have a Back on Track initiative to look at how we can give our students a second chance at graduation, and what are the best pathways and what are some new pathways to help students who may have missed their summer graduation or who are not with their cohort get re-engaged in the educational process and come back. And we've also now started tracking our zero tolerance reform. In this slide, you see a gentleman standing there with a hat. That is Mr. Daryl McCoy. I met him this weekend at a luncheon with Miss Dorothy Wilson. What is important about him and those beautiful hats is he is a graduate of Fort Hays High School. He was a fashion design major, went to school at the Fashion Institute in Chicago. He has come home, he blocks and designs and makes all of those hats himself. He now owns his own hat shop, which is D. Leonard Designs. But what is most important, as we just spent, I know, 10 hours of reviewing our specialty programs and our career center programs, he is doing exactly what our programs are designed to do. He's a fashion major. He is working in his major. He wanted to do it. And not only did he do fashion, but he also tacked on entrepreneurship. So he is business, he connected academics, and that's what we want for all of our students. So whether you are studying culinary or nursing or EMT or dance, can you have a pathway? How are we preparing our kids for a direct pathway to work in their industry? And it was just a delight to meet him and to see that, in fact, he is. So in 2016, our committee is very focused. These are the areas we will stick to. If there are emerging trends that come up, we will definitely address them. But discipline, the expansion of the all-girls school and the all-boys school, the Linda McKinley feeder pattern, at Central Ohio site visits to other innovative programs right here in Franklin County, and making sure we are also sharing our information and our recommendations for the facilities master plan. That is on tap for 2016. As you see there, our students from the Columbus City Prep for Girls are working on some innovative science techniques, and that is what our committee is all about. At the last meeting, though, as much as we review academics and processes, we cannot take away safety. And we showed this at our last meeting. This is an outstanding music instructor from New York, and we want to share this one with you.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our Father, brothers all are we. Let me
President Baker, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Board Member Gibbs. We appreciate your leadership on those committees, and we appreciate you sharing that information with us.
Nothing to add, Mr. President, other than my co-chairship of Audit and Accountability with Board Member Hudson, also Innovation and Reform with Board Member Gibbs. I'm happy to say that with Audit and Accountability specifically, I'm happy to see that the district has constantly showed us that they're keeping on track with the initiatives that they're trying to improve with any part of our operations. Mrs. Smith has given us a great overview of, or allowed us the opportunity to see a great overview of every bit of our operations, from transportation to what have you, and we're doing a fine job, slowly but surely. I thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Cole. Mr. Peretti, would you like to report?
Yeah, well, the Policy Review Committee it doesn't meet anymore, but it doesn't. There has been a need, I think, we do meet with Neola twice a year to go over state changes, federal changes, and how they affect our policies. I would like to see in the future, a standing committee that would look at these things a few times a year, as well as some of the other, as we adopted all these policies, there's going to be some fine tuning and cleaning up here and there, and I think that it definitely deserves a smaller version, the Policy Review Committee, but a committee nonetheless, so that we can constantly be looking at our policies and making sure that they make sense for our district. And Ms. Gibbs and I will have more updates on the ad hoc committee as it develops and as it gets seated in January.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peretti. So I want to take this moment to thank each and every board member who leads and or participates in a committee. A lot of the work does actually happen in the committees, and I'd like to thank every member of staff who supports those committees. They could not complete their work without your assistance. All right, so let's move on now to board announcements. And before we do that, I wanted to ask you, Deputy Superintendent, were there any staff that we approved this evening that you would like to introduce as part of the consent agenda?
Mr. President,
Okay.
new additional staff.
Thank you very much. And I also wanted to give Director Johnson the opportunity. I want to thank you for being with us all year, and thank you for your advocacy on our behalf at City Hall. I just wondered if you had anything to share.
Not at this time, thank you. It's been a pleasure to serve alongside all of you.
Thank you very much. All right, board members, have you any announcements you'd like to share? Any points of pride over the last couple weeks since we last met? Mr. Cole?
Just a very quick point of pride. Had the opportunity, along with yourself, to visit Siebert Elementary School to celebrate our partnership with COSI. They have been a faithful friend to this organization, to our institution. And that was a word that I specifically used with our children, that they have been good friends. They have given 50 passes per, several different schools. I want to say, I think at least maybe 10 of them. They've given free passes, as many as 50, to students to be able to utilize over the winter break, and they'll give another set of 50 passes over the spring break. I think that there's more to come in the future that we'll be able to celebrate with them. But it was a wonderful opportunity. They had the science guy there, and he showed the use in different states of gases and what have you. It was a wonderful experience. We had some media there. I thank Mr. Tooney for teeing that up, along with Mr. Varner. Thank you all for that. I enjoyed myself tremendously.
Thank you, Mr. Cole. Ms. Gibbs?
Yes, thank you. Happy holidays to everyone, and I hope everyone is able to enjoy their break. I want to say a big point of pride and a big thank you to Miss Betty Hill in our Unified Arts Department. About a week and a half ago, Gibbs for Kids hosted a Whiz Watch Party, and we were at the King Arts Complex, and it was a free screening for 300 people in the community. And the Eastmore Academy and the cast of The Wiz that will They're presenting it in the spring, but they brought Dorothy, the Scarecrow, and the Lion, and they perform selections from their show as well as a few scenes. Ms. Hill was able to have Fort Hays Performing Arts Department host a table, and many of the parents that came were very interested in what they saw on stage and how they could get involved or how they could continue their performing arts experience at the high school level. So I definitely want to thank her for all of the work she's done. We've had an amazing year for music and for dance, not the amazing donation to our performing arts and an instrumental program, and the thousands of students that will be able to take an instrument for the next 30 years, to all of our high schools, and Mr. Seth Harms is their coordinator, but to all the winter concerts and the band and the choirs and everyone. We have an amazingly talented district, so I thank her for all of that. And I would also like to send very good vibes to our CEA President, Tracy Johnson, as she gets ready, hopefully, to rejoin us in January. And we hope that she's back at full strength. So Phil, if you would just give her all of our love and support. And to all of you, please take time to turn off your phones. Come home from the store and enjoy the gift that you already given, and that's the present.
Thank you, Ms. Gibbs. Thank you very much. Any other board member like to share anything? Yes, Ms. Hudson.
Thank you, President Baker. I just want to thank the superintendent and his team, and thank the students at Oakland Park Elementary who sent out just a great holiday greeting from the district. It was sent out virtually, and I know many of us were able to send that out to folks, and I heard a lot of great comments about that. So they had a great holiday song that was appropriate for anyone, regardless of your religion or what you celebrate at this time of the year, to celebrate the end of the year. So thank you to those children at Oakland Park and to all this team that put that card together.
Thank you. All right, I have a few. The Family Literacy and Numeracy Academy was mentioned earlier. That was actually at COSI the day after we were at Siebert with Mr. COSI. So the academy was amazing. I don't know how many students were there. Ms. Gillison?
President Baker and members of the board, Saturday was an amazing day for Columbus City Schools and our families. I think the last number, Sandy, correct me, near 1,700? Near 1,700.
Wow.
And the largest so far, and I say that Saturday was an awesome day for our families because we started at COSI with the Family Literacy Academy, and then you think of the full educational continuum, and then we ended our day at the Ohio State University Union with the I Know I Can Blueprint to College, and there were roughly 750 folks there, so we covered the entire spectrum. Our families and our students were winners on Saturday.
Thank you, Ms. Gillison. And I do want to recognize Sandy Donnell, who was also there and did a great job.
Absolutely.
And that same day, Charity Newsies was out.
Yes.
And so they collected a great deal of contributions, which 100% go to our students. So if you see a Charity Newsie, please thank him or her for all the hard work they do during the year. There was a special event at Eakin Elementary, a shoe giveaway. A group called Rock City Church gave away a new pair of shoes to every single student, so almost 350 pairs of shoes. So, and I was fortunate enough to be able to be there, and you should have seen our students' faces. It made my day, actually made my week, I think. So thanks to Rock City Church and the Eakin Elementary principal who helped to coordinate that whole thing. Mr. Cole was there, as I recall. Thank you for being there. I also attended a non-building-based administrators breakfast with the superintendent, and that was an opportunity for us to thank administrators who are not in a building. And so it was It was great fun, and we had it at Columbus Downtown High School, and our culinary students provided the breakfast for us, and it was outstanding. I ate way too much. But while I was there, somebody approached me about the cosmetology school at Columbus Downtown High School, so a couple days later, I went back and got my hair cut. So I hope it looks all right. I would encourage everyone to go there for a haircut. It's only $5, and they did a great job. So any other board announcements, any other items you'd like to share? Okay, thank you very much. One last thing, I do want to recognize J.C. Benton. Stand up. So J.C. Benton is the supervisor of the board services area, and so he coordinates and works with us and puts up with us all pretty much 24/7. And so I wanted to recognize you for all your hard work and coordination. All right, our next item is adjourning into executive session. So we will adjourn from these chambers, we'll go upstairs to executive session, we'll adjourn from up there, we won't come back here. So I would ask the Vice President one last time to offer a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is recommended that the Board of Education recess into executive session per Section 121.22 G1 Ohio Revised Code to consider the employment or compensation of public employees.
We have a motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Hearing no discussion, Mr. Treasurer?
Ms. Hudson?
Yes.
Mr. Peretti?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
Vice President Stewart?
Yes.
President Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
And Ms. Gibbs?
Yes.
That motion carried.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. Happy holidays. See you in January.